I'm here with Michael Myette, author of Free Radical. So Mike, without giving away anything, what is the plot of Free Radical?
Free Radical is a story about a young researcher named Matthew Quinn who discovers, actually invents a polymer which he notices that it has the capacity to make his laboratory mice live indefinitely. He's not 100% clear why it's working, and he's even less sure about why there are some fairly significant side effects to administering the administration. But before he can solve those problems and get the answers, his mentor, his research mentor, ends up missing and ultimately turns up murdered. Matthew Quinn ends up losing his funding, and to make a long story short, he ends up framed for the murder of his mentor and friend. And he makes the dramatic decision to attempt to solve the problems with his polymer, take his research underground, and go on the run. So what ensues is an incredible game of cat and mouse, where he attempts to solve the problems while still eluding both the police and an organized crime boss who is intent on stealing the polymer, pawning it off as his own, and then attempting to get it marketed as a fountain of youth.
Wow. So as a doctor, what aspects of your job influence your writing?
Well, this book actually is a fictionalized account of some research that I did as a clinical fellow when I was in San Francisco. So the science is actually based in reality, which is kind of fun. A scientist could look at it and delve into Quinn's mind as the book does, and realize that the science is real. Now, obviously, the medicine isn't real, and there isn't any fountain of youth that we've discovered yet. Now, that said, the idea for the book was an outgrowth of of the research that I did when I was a fellow.
So as a doctor specializing in pediatric critical care medicine and the father of 3 children, how do you find the time to write, and what aspects of what you're doing influence your writing, of being a father and a doctor?
Absolutely. Well, I don't watch much television. So time is obviously very tight, and certainly my kids take up a tremendous amount of my time, as does my career. I find that writing is a relaxing and usually a fun endeavor. Sometimes as I'm writing, I'm not sure where the story goes. I tend to write from an outline, so I have an idea where the finish line is, but the twists and the turns that occur in a story, those unfold as the story's written, and that's exciting, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about writing. Is you can be sitting here writing, working towards the finish line, all of a sudden you realize, oh gosh, I've got to go this way, and create some tension here. So that's one of the things that I really like about writing. In terms of what aspects of my life I've put into the writing, there's a tremendous amount of myself in Dr. Quinn. He's an ex-competitive runner, as am I, and that's actually an important part of who he is in the book. It is a skill which he uses to his advantage on several occasions. He's a wine lover, which I am too, and that actually his interest in wine also plays an important role in how he solves the problems that he's confronted with, and obviously he's a pediatric intensive care doc, and that's exactly what I am too. So when he's discussing medicine or doing things of a medical nature, I'm usually speaking from my own personal experience through him, and so those aspects definitely find their way into this, and I think because many of his interests are my interests, it comes across as authentic.
Right. So how is Free Radical different from other medical thrillers on the market?
That's a great question, and I'm a junkie for medical thrillers. Michael Palmer, Robin Cook, early Michael Creighton, certainly. And this book is different in that most of those other medical thrillers involve a doctor trying to solve a clinical problem that he sees. He's seeing patients die a certain strange way, or he's seeing people come, the doctor is coming across things that aren't making sense, and there's some sinister problem. That's a very typical medical thriller plot tool. This plot tool is not clinical per se. It's more about his research and what's going on. It certainly utilizes medicine and utilizes physiology, human physiology, and things that doctors know and deal with. But it's much more a question about science that stars a doctor as the lead character than a traditional medical thriller. So in that sense, it's different. In another sense, the story is absolutely intertwined with a story that could almost exclusively be about wine and the culture of wine, and that's also unique. I think I've never read another medical thriller that had as much to do with wine culture as this one does. So people that might have no medical background but have an interest in wine and wine culture would also, I think, find this book fascinating.
Right. Well, thanks so much for the interview, and congratulations on Free Radical.
Thank you so much.